Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another flight here in the Seminole multi-engine aircraft. Today we're going to be working on our single engine pattern, and we're going to go do this at the other airport. But for now, please enjoy this view because, man, mornings like this, there's something else. So kind of back to the lesson now. As we get back onto that runway, we're going to be taking off out of here, full power, and we're going to be climbing to right around 400 feet AGL. This is going to be where the fun happens. According to the ACS, the DPE will fail one of your engines right around this time or a little bit higher, so just be prepared. Then, after the engine fails, we are going to be measured by our reaction. In this case, it's going to look like this. We're going to break it into steps. First is directional control. This is measured by not only controlling the ailerons and rudder to maintain that straight line after takeoff, but it is also pitching down, maintaining that 88 knots throughout the entirety of the maneuver. And next are power inputs, which is going to be mixture, rich or full forward, props, full forward, throttle, full forward, and now to our drag devices, which is going to be flaps up to immediately get rid of that drag, and now our landing gear, putting the gear lever in the up position and keeping our hand on that lever until 6 seconds has passed so that gear can fully retract into the aircraft. And once the red unsafe warning light is no longer illuminating, it is secure and we can move on to identification. To do this, we're going to be looking down at our rudder pedals, and our legs are going to be applying pressure on one of them, and the other is going to be our most suspected dead engine. Now, let's verify. You verify that by bringing our throttles halfway back on the suspected engine, and if you get no reaction, then you can suspect that that is now verified. The dead engine is now verified. So securing that engine, bringing that throttle back, props back, mixture back, will allow the propeller to feather, and this will allow us to be more aerodynamic, meaning less drag, which allows us to have less rudder input, meaning we can control the aircraft with less force. So let's go look at it in the air, real life scenario. So now we have passed our 400 feet and we are continuing our climb. We know it's going to happen any moment now. He's reaching his hand over and we're about to get our single engine. So pitching for that directional control, maintaining yoke inputs and rudder inputs, as well as maintaining that straight line out, getting yourself to that 88, very important. Now, we need to go full on the mixture, props, throttle, and it's full forward. Maintaining our flaps up, gear up, and making sure everything else is looking good. Identifying our foot. Before we can verify, we need to make sure that we're below 3,000 feet. And this means that we're going to secure the engine, and we're going to simulate this, where the DPE will compensate the feathered condition by giving us a boost of power. Now, let's verify. Bringing that throttle halfway back to confirm that it is the dead engine, and you bring in that throttle now all the way back. Prop back and mixture back in that one engine. And this is all simulated because after this, the DPE will give you a bump in power in that engine, in the throttle, to give you a little less rudder force to simulate a feathered prop. Now you can land with this feeling because it's going to be very similar to what an actual dead engine would feel like. And since this is encompassing not only safety but your performance, it's going to be everything. And making sure you practice it right is where you're going to be an even better pilot. So let's talk about the landing. You've now made it past the takeoff and you've established yourself from the crosswind to the downwind, and let's extend the downwind so we can get a proper landing. Our landing gear is in the up position, so we will have to put that down, and I like to go off of this mentality: beam the numbers, gear down. This is not only going to establish a descent, but you're able to control that descent with power. And remember, the more power you use, the more controls you'll have to use as well to maintain that directional control. So with that being said, control your maneuver first, stay in control, and be ahead of the aircraft. That's how you get not only through this safe, but make the right decisions. So now as we start to get a beam the numbers, just like we're taught with our smaller aircraft, bringing the power back, beam the numbers, we're going to bring our landing gear down. We're looking for the 3 green, no red, and 1 in the mirror. Now, let's continue. This is going to do those 2 things one more time. It's going to help us descend and slow our aircraft down. So, we're controlling the descent, using power inputs to increase our altitude. Going back to the basics, on power for altitude and pitching for our airspeed. Taking our gaze from the inside to the outside, we're going to align this course perfectly. So flying the pattern to get ourselves straight in line with the runway, because we're only going to do this one landing. That's the goal. We're not going to do a go around, so we're committing. But give yourself the ample time and distance for you to set this up correctly. That's why we extended our downwind, so we can have a longer final. With this being said, you're getting your landing checks out of the way, so you can do your BC Gumps check, which is our B is booster pumps, C is carb heat, G gas, U undercarriage, M mixture, P props, and seatbelts is the S. We don't have to do this technically, but it's always a good thing to remember if you have time, just to make sure your landing is down and everything's set up for success. With that being said, we are now able to focus solely on landing the aircraft. Power adjustments, aileron adjustments, rudder inputs is needed to get that center line, and we are looking at our aiming. Adjusting as necessary to not only hit center line, but our target, and land just beyond that to get ourselves not only a good landing, but a safe one at that.
Now, one more thing to note, we cannot use more than 25 degrees of flaps. According to the POH, it is not okay, and you can fail your maneuver for this. So, with that being said, pick your aiming point, don't use more than 25 degrees of flaps, and small micro adjustments to get yourself on track. And as we come closer to this landing,
Power back, pitching up, gliding it off, and there it goes. It bleeds off. Now securing that aircraft to go around. Carburetor heat off and full power. As we take off the ground, that is officially the maneuver. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, but that is aviation. And don't let it get you down, because with this video comes a little bit of practice and a little bit of guidance towards better performance. So I'll catch you guys in the next one, and please let me know which video you want to see next, and I'll make it and get it out to you guys. Thanks again, and get up there.